What if we instead treated tax strategy as an ongoing part of running the business instead of just a season? What would that look like for investors?
That would change their lives, right? And their investment journey and their wealth and everything going forward. What happens is we are used to, and I talk in general, taxpayers are used to just filing their taxes at the end of the year, but it's the end of the year is actually March or April. So the year that you're filing for has already ended, right? So a lot of the strategies, and remember, real estate investors, why do we love to talk about taxes? Because the government, the IRS, has all these opportunities tax-wise, right, that we can take advantage of. So if you as a real estate investor are not looking proactively at your accounting, proactively at your tax situation, how are you even going to mitigate and really use all those strategies are out there for you to lower your taxes, right? With our clients, we actually work proactively. And what that means is we meet with our clients throughout the year. We go through their financials. We tell them how much taxes they're going to pay in the year and how we're going to mitigate that together. So it's more of knowing their books, knowing their cash flow, knowing what expenses are really affecting their bottom line. What strategies can we implement to make sure that that's actually mitigated? And then another thing too, when you're
Right.
as real estate investors, we're always buying, selling. These are big decisions. You have to know, and taxes are going to get impacted. So when you know what options you have out there to pay zero taxes, some of our clients pay zero taxes, right? That's why it's important to be proactive.
I This resonates so much because I know as an investor and as a business owner, it was so like transformational, really, when I brought on one of my VAs to start doing the bookkeeping and accounting. So every Friday, all of our transactions had been categorized in QuickBooks. And I had an exact tally of where we stood every Friday, right? What the net income was, what, money I was expecting to have come in, what money I was expecting to have outflow with credit cards and everything, where I could really know where we stood financially. Every Friday was huge. It was amazing. So that's really where it needs to start, right, Anna? Like for you to have these productive meetings with clients, they have to have up-to-date books to start off with. So what do you recommend for investors who feel overwhelmed with their bookkeeping and accounting and they're like, I don't even know where to start. I hate doing it. I have time to do it every week, but then I never do it because emergencies and fires pop up. What are your tips to your clients when they come to you with that situation?
So a few things, right? I mean, I guess the first tip I would give is anything relating to expenses, any statements, create a folder, and it could be something physical, right? And also on your computer, depending on what kind of documentation you have, and just put everything in there. Put everything in there. That's tip number one. So you keep everything in one place, everything organized. The second thing is we're investors. We love real estate, but we may not necessarily like and love the accounting, right? And it's okay. Accounting is very technical too. So it may be easy for you to classify something, you want to eat out, that's meals, but what about all the other or the balance sheet that you don't know those accounts what they're for, right? So the equity, all these things are like kind of like French to us, right? So at that point, you need to hire help. And it could be a VA. There's a lot of virtual assistants out there that do an amazing job with the books, right? So I would say just subcontract that work. If you don't feel comfortable, because I know it's your financial situation, maybe you don't know if the person's good, at the beginning you have to kind of be on top of it. But once they get the
Right.
hang of it, once you trust that person, it changes your world. Looking at your financial information on a monthly basis changes your world and your peace of mind.
Fabulous. So let's say somebody gets the help that they need because they're not doing it well themselves. And they're like, okay, well, what do I need to track now? Like, what do I need to look at? So what are the financial habits that you recommend people have or the numbers that an investor should be tracking and viewing monthly if they really want to get a handle on their real estate business's finances?
So I would say number one, cash flow, right? Again, we invest to have more money, more wealth. So just cash flow, make sure your properties, you're tracking what are your expenses, what are your biggest expenses, and can you even lower those, right? Insurance is one big one that increased over the past few years, and now seems to be getting a little adjusted, maybe we can get those to get lowered. So make sure you're tracking your cash flow, not just how much rent you're getting. That's number one. You should always have some reserves. Things can happen for capital expenditure sometimes. And even though we have insurance, we do need to have that kind of reserve on the side to any expense that you weren't counting on, right? So I think those are the two things. If the properties are cash flowing, I think you're in a healthy position.